Our first guest tonight is an Academy Award-winning actress you know from films such as Les Miserables, Rachel Getting Married, and The Devil Wears Prada. She is currently starring in Lockdown, which is now streaming on HBO Max. Let's take a look.
£3 million, tax-free, no consequences.
One for me, one for you, one for the NHS.
You have thought about this?
You know, I need to go meditate.
Well, are you sure they won't check it in New York?
Shut up, I need to meditate.
No, what were you going to say?
The man who bought the diamond is bad. He's really bad, and you and I are good, and the NHS is good, and good is better than bad. And when I explained all that to Grandma, even she said, well, yeah, that's true. And she was a Calvinist, straight as a rod, unlike me, who is weak in the face of temptation.
Live wild or die, Linda.
Please welcome back to the show our friend Anne Hathaway. How are you, Annie?
Hey, hi Seth. It's so good to see you.
It's great to see you as well. It's as close as we can. So this is really sort of incredible. This is sort of the first movie that documents the time we were living in early 2020. This is when the movie takes place. All the characters are living through the pandemic the way we all were. It must have been sort of thrilling and interesting to be doing that.
Oh, yeah, it was exhilarating, the whole thing. Because I feel like some people started smoking again during lockdown, some people started drinking with lunch, and then we just like took our feelings and made a film about it. And Steve Knight wrote this script that's so sharp and funny, and I found cathartic. And and then I got to act with Chiwetel Ejiofor, and Doug Liman was directing, and all of it just felt like we probably shouldn't do it, but I'm so glad we did.
There obviously a couple things you guys were up against. One were, the very intense protocols that we have when we're shooting films now, and this was shot in London. But also you shot it very quickly. Is it safe to assume that 18 days is the shortest amount of time you've ever worked on a feature film?
Certainly when there was 180 pages of dialogue to film. I've never done a 180-page script. Normally they're about 120 and you have about 4 months to shoot it. This one was a little bit different.
I'm lucky enough to be friends with Doug Liman, who raves about you, it should be noted. He is, I assume, the right kind of director for this seat-of-your-pants style filming.
For this, what kind of pants?
Like sort of
seat of your pants. I thought you said seedier pants, and I was like, you know, a very different side of Doug than I do.
He wears some pretty seedy pants.
He's got a huge heart. I don't think I would have said yes to anyone else, but he's so inspiring, and he takes these risks. I mean, he's about to go into space with Tom Cruise and make a movie where he's shooting in space, and he has these ideas, and when he hears someone say something's impossible, he wants to show them how it's not, and I just love him to pieces.
It's true that he's going to space to shoot a movie with Tom Cruise, and for those that don't know, he shot Born Identity and Edge of Tomorrow. And he's this incredible filmmaker, and yet if you ever saw the inside of his car, which looks like a garbage can, you would think, I will not put my life in this man's hands, but he gets results. He gets results.
He's wonderful. It was one of those things where it was such a really hard year for everybody, and it felt so incredible to be a part of something that not only just employed people, which felt like a really great thing to be a part of, but was able to turn all of this rage and uncertainty and all of these feelings that we were all just kind of fighting our way through, and turn it into something, like I said, hopefully cathartic. And I'm sorry, I get nervous talking to you. It's happening. Is my neck red yet?
That's the intention. We do try to keep people, especially you, we want to keep you off your axis. Hey, you mostly shot it in an apartment, but you also, and I think it's safe to assume you would never have been able to shut down Harrods, which is this famous department store in London that you guys got to shoot in, which must have been both exciting but incredibly eerie to be in a place that is usually so bustling with human beings.
It was that. It was, it just kind of added to the surreality of everything. But it sort of reminded me of when I was a kid, and my parents used to bring us to FAO Schwartz, and we couldn't afford anything in FAO Schwartz. So my parents told us it was a toy museum. And that's what being in Harrods at night was like. It was kind of like the museum of super fancy stuff.
Yeah. That's, man, I tip my cap to your parents. That's genius.
They're very clever. They had a lot of workarounds for stuff like that.
There are some, maybe cliche is not the right word, but things that I think all of us have maybe at least thought about doing during this difficult year that happened in the film. So I want to ask you if these are things you've ever done in real life.
Okay.
And I will answer as well.
Okay.
Scream into a pillow, yes or no, real life?
So many times.
Really?
So many times. That actually wasn't in the movie. We'd done a couple takes, and then I turned to Doug and I said, I don't want to tell you what I'm going to do, but can I just try something? And he said, yeah. And I grabbed the pillow and I just screamed as hard, like loud and as hard as I could into it. And then I did the scene, and at the end, Doug's eyes were really wide and he just went, oh, do that again. Do that again. In the early days of lockdown, we were also, I'm still overwhelmed, but especially in the beginning when, there was just a lot to process. I would need to release, but I didn't want to scare my kids, so I screamed into a pillow a lot.
See, I think I just scream too loud when something minor happens. Like the other day, I got a very small splinter on the banister and screamed really loud, and then my wife very calmly explained to me that it's upsetting to the kids.
I broke a bowl that was very meaningful, and I started to cry way too hard, and Adam had to come up to me, and he's like, honey, you are legit frightening the children. You gotta pull it together, honey.
Have you ever stayed in pajamas all day?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I did do my best to try to get dressed, just because I'm somebody, if I don't kind of start my day, get myself out of bed, start my routine, it can get a little mushy. So I found it was like good for my mental health to put on something with a zipper.
Yep, I think that's right. What about tie-dye? Did you tie-dye any clothes during the pandemic?
I didn't, but going back to Doug Liman for a second, we like you said, we shot this whole thing, well, not by the seat of your pants, the seat of our pants, but we didn't have a look for the final scene of the movie where they've been in lockdown for a very long time. And I think it was something like 18 hours before we had to shoot the scene, I said, oh, what about tie-dye? Everybody was tie-dyeing during this time. Wouldn't it be funny if she was wearing a tie-dye shirt? And our poor costume designer, who had done such an amazing job and was so exhausted, single-handedly dressing everybody, just said, I'm very exhausted and I don't think I can. And Doug raised his hand. He's like, I'll do it. I'll tie-dye a bunch of shirts. So he spent his Sunday tie-dyeing shirts, came in with a dozen of them, and I wore one of them in the movie. So I didn't, Doug did.
He is a jack of all trades. No one can say otherwise about our friend.
He can tie-dye. He goes into space. He does it all. Makes films in lockdown.
It's always such a delight to see you. Congrats on the film, and I really do hope next time it's in person.
Oh, that would be a dream. That would be incredible.